All right, folks. You know how we do things here on the Deep Dive. We grab a source, we roll up our sleeves, and we dig in.
That's right.
And today,
We are diving deep.
we're tackling a topic, well, let's just say it's near and dear to a whole lot of hearts out there.
Yeah.
Marriage. Specifically, how to build a strong one that can really go the distance.
The real deal.
The real deal. And our source material,
Buckle up.
it's a blurb. A blurb about a book called Before and After Saying I Do. Now,
Intriguing.
intriguing is a good word for it. I'll admit I was a little skeptical at first, but
Who isn't, right? You see a book about marriage advice and you think, yeah, heard it all before.
exactly. But there's something about this one.
There is something about it. So
Something
we're going to
interesting.
see if we can glean some wisdom, some nuggets of truth, even from this bite-sized blurb.
Absolutely.
All right, so the book promises biblical wisdom and practical tools to help couples, and get this, in any stage of marriage.
Any stage.
Not just for the lovebirds planning their big day.
But for those who've been waltzing, tangoing, maybe even, doing a little bit of a relationship two-step for a while now.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Exactly. So what jumps out at you from that little snippet?
Honestly, that before and after thing really got me.
Oh, tell me more.
It's like so many resources out there, they treat getting married like it's the finish line, Like, congratulations, you made it, now go live happily ever after.
But it's not the finish line.
It's not. It's just the starting line. It's day one of a lifelong journey with its ups, its downs, its detours.
It's twists and turns for sure.
Exactly.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
100%.
And speaking of marathons, that whole biblical wisdom bit, that definitely caught my eye.
It's intriguing.
It is intriguing. Now, we're not necessarily talking about a sermon here,
No.
but how can those teachings, that wisdom, apply to couples who maybe aren't particularly religious or don't subscribe to that specific faith?
That's a great question.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the Bible, even putting aside any religious context for a moment, it's full of these incredible stories.
Oh, absolutely.
Stories about human relationships and all their complexities, the good, the bad, the messy, you name it. And these stories, they offer these timeless insights, like how to communicate effectively, how to navigate conflict, how to forgive.
Because we're human.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, we're all human trying to figure this whole relationship thing out.
And these stories, they resonate across cultures, across time periods.
They really do. I mean, think about it. These stories have been around for centuries, and people are still turning to them for guidance. There's something to be said for that.
There really is. There really is. And, it's interesting you mentioned that because I've actually heard from couples who, even if they're not particularly religious, they find value in studying other texts together, like philosophy or even poetry, or even just reading fiction together and then having those conversations afterwards about the characters, the themes.
Is it sparks something, right?
It sparks a conversation.
It makes you think about your own relationship, your own dynamics in a new light.
Exactly. So moving along here, this blurb, it also mentions that the book uses relatable stories, which you kind of touched on, but also actionable advice and reflective exercises.
Okay, so let's break that down.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Well, I think the idea behind the stories, we touched on it, right? It's about making the information relatable, helping us connect to it on an emotional level.
It makes it stick.
Exactly. And when you have that emotional connection, the information is more likely to stick with you,
Yeah.
You're more likely to apply it to your own life.
Right, absolutely. Now, what about this actionable advice?
That's where the rubber meets the road, right?
Exactly.
It's great to have all this information, all these insights, but what good is it if you don't know what to do with it, right?
So true.
So actionable advice, it's about giving couples concrete steps they can take, things they can actually put into practice in their relationship.
So it's not just theory.
It's not just theory. It's like, okay, here's a problem you might be facing, and here are 3 specific things you can do to address it.
It's like having a roadmap instead of just a compass, like you were saying earlier about,
I love that analogy.
you have a direction, but you also have specific steps you can take.
Yes, and you know what? That really resonates with me because, speaking for myself, I know there have been times when I've tried to have these, really deep, meaningful conversations with my partner.
Oh, we've all been there.
And it just devolves into an argument, Like, we get stuck in these same old patterns.
Same old patterns, yeah.
And I think having those specific steps, those actionable pieces of advice, it can be so helpful in those moments, It can help you stay on track, stay focused on what really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you've got the reflective exercises, which honestly, those can be game changers.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So imagine this. You and your partner, maybe you're having a glass of wine after dinner,
Nice. I like where this is going.
and you each take turns answering a simple question from the book.
Huh.
Something like, what's one small gesture that makes you feel loved and appreciated?
Ooh, that's good.
Right. Or, what's one thing I could do differently that would make you feel more supported this week?
Wow, yeah.
Just these simple prompts, but they can open up these really powerful conversations
Gives a structured way.
in a safe, structured way, because sometimes just having that structure there can make it feel less intimidating to be vulnerable, you know?
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Because let's face it, talking about our feelings, our needs, it can be scary, especially in a romantic relationship.
It can be really intimidating, really intimidating.
But those reflective exercises, they can help create a space where both partners feel safe to open up and be honest with each other.
So it's almost like holding up a mirror to your relationship.
It is, and that can be a little unnerving at first, right?
It can be.
But that vulnerability, that's where the real growth happens.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the connection deepens.
Exactly, because you're not just skimming the surface anymore, you're really diving deep and exploring what makes your relationship tick.
So what we're getting at here, and I think this is really important, is that a strong marriage, a lasting marriage, it takes work.
It does.
It takes effort. It takes intentionality.
Conscious effort.
Yes, and a willingness to grow together, both individually and as a couple.
I love that.
So before we wrap things up, I'm curious, what resonated most with you from this whole blurb? What really stuck with you?
You know, for me, it was that very last line where it talks about creating a lifelong partnership built on faith, love, and mutual respect.
Powerful words.
They are powerful words. And while I know faith might have religious connotations for some people, I think the broader concepts of trust, love, and respect, those are universal.
Universal, absolutely.
Those are the cornerstones of any strong, healthy relationship, whether it's romantic, platonic, familial.
Could agree more. Couldn't agree more. And, that ties into what I want to leave everyone with today. This whole blurb, it frames marriage as a journey, not a destination.
Yes,
And I think that's such an important reminder.
it is.
Because no matter where you are in your own relationship,
Whether you're just starting out,
engaged, celebrating your 50th anniversary,
going through a rough patch.
there's always more to learn, there's always room for growth, and there's always more love to discover.
Well said. I love that.
And on that note, that's a wrap on this deep dive. As always, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Until next time.